Hello everyone, I'm Akari. I'm native Japanese speaker. I live and born in Japan, so until in my 30s, I haven't lived in foreign countries. So, but I was learning English and I'm a language lover. So I like learning English and also I try to learn Greek and French, but yeah. 2013, I found out italki. And at that time, italki was just a language exchanging platform. So actually, 2012 to 2015, I was in Canada. I was there for working holiday visa, and also I got a work visa, so I was there. But before I went to Canada, I wanted to improve my English. So I registered italki to exchange my language to English people who wants to learn Japanese. So I thought like, wow, what a good platform. So I just registered, and then gradually italki said, we want professional teachers so that you can earn money teaching your language. And I thought, wow, what a exciting news. So I said, yes, I have a certificate. I have experience of teaching Japanese. So can I teach Japanese online? And which is, nobody does that around me at that time, so I was so excited, and I gradually started, and I still remember the first student I got when I was in Canada, but he was in America. I think my first student is American, young man. I think in his 15, 19, I remember he was very young, and I was so excited. I enjoyed my lesson, but I got paid, so I was so excited. Yeah. So many of my 70%, over 70% of my students are from America, and most of my students are beginner. And actually, I said I have experience teaching Japanese, but what I learned in Japan is teach Japanese in Japanese, and it doesn't help on italki actually, because many of my students on italki is almost beginner of Japanese. So I created my way somehow, and I'm teaching Japanese in English for the beginner students. And I encourage my students that, like, I know for native English speaker, especially, Japanese is the most difficult language, most far language that don't have any relation with Japanese and English. I can see some of you are smiling. So it's the most difficult language. So, but if you master Japanese, you can say, I can speak Japanese, and you can, like, your friends feel like, oh, you're a genius. So if you master Japanese, even some words, if you speak Japanese in America or Canada or Australia or any English-speaking countries, everyone said, you're a genius, so you should do that because everyone call you genius. So that's how I encourage people, like, don't give up. Keep studying it. Yeah. I personally like the zero knowledge beginner students because I had a student who don't know any Japanese and taking my lesson, and now he can speak conversational Japanese. But if someone already started learning Japanese by themselves, sometimes they know the vocabulary and they know grammar, but their pronunciation is a little bit strange because they try to learn Japanese in their countries, and their teacher is not necessarily native speaker. So that I personally really like italki because you can start any language from zero, and you can find a perfect teacher who can start from zero. I think it's impossible in other language schools or something. So my advice is, yeah, why don't you take italki lesson if you want to learn foreign language? Like, and also it's nice to have a 101, especially if you're immediate or advanced level of language learner, you can do and you can study by yourself. But if you're a beginner, it's nice to have a 101 native teacher so that you can learn the most important way. Yeah, important things, yes. What happened is, like, before we have that italki or something like 10 years ago or 15 years ago, someone who wants to learn Japanese have to come to Japan, basically, or they go to Japanese school in their countries, but it's necessarily not the native speaker. The teacher is not native speaker sometimes. And even if you have to come to Japan, it costs money and time and everything. I tried to learn the old style Japanese, teach Japanese in Japanese before, and it was boring, to be honest, because they tried to teach me like how to open your mouth and the difficult word for specific word, and it was, to be honest, it was boring. But after I start teaching italki, I take an online teaching certificate, which from Australian language school. And it helps because that school teach me how to teach Japanese in English. So they can, my target is actually English speaker. So I learned how to teach Japanese for English speaker. And they tell me what's the difference and how they think that grammatic order is totally different or something like this. But try to teach Japanese in Japanese is sometimes some Japanese teacher who can speak only Japanese, it doesn't help at all. Sometimes, yeah. I think there are some successful teachers who can only speak Japanese, but yeah. Me personally, I recommend them to, especially when they live in a foreign country, like not in Japan, I recommend them to listen like Japanese music or podcast or TV every day, even 30 minutes or so, because we have so much material, so just listening, you have lots of things. And once a week, you can meet a teacher so that you can keep your motivation. That's what I recommend. Yeah. And also, if you have a dream like 3 years later, I will trip to Japan, you have a motivation. Yeah. As I talk online Japanese teacher, I really love this job because I think people who want to learn foreign language is already very smart and very open-minded and very curious for the other cultures. So I met so many amazing people. So I don't have much complaining, to be honest. Like 99% I met through italki is amazing people. I really respect them. They're very smart, open-minded, very nice person. But in these 6 years, only a few, 2, 3 or people. But it's just matching things. I don't know, I should share this, but there is a gentleman, and I should wait. Maybe it's okay. I can keep talking. I mean, there's a gentleman who has a very, I don't know, I can describe voice, like very difficult voice to catch. It was very difficult for me to teach and correct his pronunciation, so I gave up and said, I'm so sorry, but I couldn't catch what you're saying, and could you find other teacher? But that's the only person who I met in these 6 years. I taught 350 people so far, and that's the only gentleman. But I think basically it's one-on-one lesson, so matching is the most important thing. Like a rhythm and personality and what's your interest is the most interesting thing. So it's in a different way. You can say if you can find your favorite teacher, it's like you almost reach the goal. Actually, I feel like this italki teacher is my calling. I feel I really love this job because, even I'm wearing, I'm sorry to say, but even I'm wearing pajama, even I don't do any makeup. I mean, I wash my face and I somehow do like a little bit, and not the pajama, but can be t-shirts sometimes, but can be casual. And my bed is here. I just wake up, and next to bed there's a desk, and just show up, open the laptop, and say hello and good morning, ohayo, and I just can start my lesson. And my commute is 2 steps. What an amazing job, is the one reason. The second reason is, of course, like I said, I met amazing people through this website. And the amazing thing is, among 350 people, almost 30 people visited me in Kyoto, actually. And I'm actually doing a tour guide in Kyoto too. I'm an English-speaking tour guide. So they took my tour sometimes. So I have lots of amazing stories. Yeah, we became good friends, or I became a good business partner with my student, and she is giving me a job, actually. That kind of story is also happened.
You mentioned the sake tour as well, just in case.
Yeah, it's like advertisement, but I'm doing a sake tour, and I'm doing a Maiko geisha tour. If you have a chance to Kyoto, I'm happy to bring you the sake tour or Maiko tour, geisha tour. But it can be one of the motivations that I can talk about my tour during the lesson. So even they cannot come right now, they can dream like, okay, when I was in Japan, I want to do sake tour. I want to visit this place. And that can be a good motivation for the student, I believe. One story is I met a lady called Elizabeth, and she was from America, and she's come to Japan for the job, and she stayed in Japan about a year. And I thought, oh wow, it's a long-term vacation. She was doing job at first, but she's taking a vacation, and she's been here and traveling around Japan for a year. So I thought, wow, it's long. And then she went to Japanese language school, and she was taking my lessons too. But 1 year later, she said, like, I built my own company in Japan. And I think you know that in Japan, immigration is a little bit difficult, and getting visa is difficult. But recently we got a new visa, entrepreneurship visa, and my friend Elizabeth hired a lawyer, and she did lots of good paperwork, and she got entrepreneurship visa, and she built a company, tour company, that she can bring a tourist to the Japanese rural area, or like a very unique area, which she focused on the art. So she will bring to the Setouchi art islands, or that kind of unique places. And now she's very successful, and when her customer come to Kyoto, she is giving me a customer, and I'm doing a tour for them. So now she's giving a job, so it's opposite, but it's really amazing. So yeah, that kind of thing happened. And the other one is is from 4 years ago, I was teaching a girl, a 14 years old girl. She lives in Sydney, Australia, and she was start taking my lesson from junior high. And 3 years, once a week, she was taking my lesson, Japanese lesson. And now she studied abroad, and now she's in Okayama, and she's enjoying high school life in Japan. So I haven't met her in person yet, but I want to see her. Yeah. That's my story, yeah. Of course, it's nice to get money, but it's not only money. It's more about connection, making friends, and yeah. Even not only making friends, I made a business partner. And yeah, I had a very good friends. I mean, in all over the world, so it's really nice. When I started teaching on italki, there were only 7 Japanese teachers. I think there are 7, or I can count, only 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm the 7th or so. So only a limited number, and now we have 300 Japanese teachers on italki. So yes, very competitive, and I know what you mean. There are lots of attractive profile photo, but I feel like I have to make a difference. I want to make a difference. What's my unique point? So in my case, I'm living in Kyoto, I'm doing a tour guide job, and also I'm interested in entrepreneurship kind of things, and I want to help, like I said, Elizabeth's story, I want to help people who wants to live or work in Japan, not only teaching languages, but if my student said, I want to live in Japan, I want to provide information how to get jobs in Japan or something like that. So next year I go to university again and I try to get a master degree. I go to MBA course, and I hope I can go and graduate and I can write it down my italki profile. I got an MBA. And I can teach you Japanese, but not only that, I can help you to get job in Japan, or I can help you to start business in Japan, that kind of thing. Right now we have lots of information on the website, but personally I'm using online textbook. And also I'm using online textbooks 30 minutes, and then for intermediate and advanced student, we listen Japanese song, one song. And I just check the important song phrase, pick up one song phrase, so that more we do, they feel like, oh, today I can pick up 2 words from the song, and today we can pick up 5 words, so they can see the improvement. And it can be a 1 hour lesson 101 is a little bit too long, so I want to take a break by listening song, and then I go listening, and then I do conversational first, and listening songs, and then grammar, and then the review again, the conversational review again. So this kind of thing, you can think about what balance is student like. So this is just my way, yeah. For writing, actually in my lesson, I don't focus on writing much, to be honest. I focus on conversational more, because the point of 101 lesson is conversational things. So I prepare the conversational things like Smith said blah blah blah, and Tanaka-san said blah blah blah. Like the first lesson is hajimemashite, and 私の名前は田中です, or like nice to meet you things. So I do 101. You do the Tanaka part, I do the Smith part, and let's do the conversational practice, that kind of thing. Actually, I myself learning English on italki sometimes, yeah. And I try to search a teacher who speaks Japanese, because I can do every lesson in English, but what I want to learn is about Japanese culture, like kabuki or like a tea ceremony or something like Japanese related things for my tour guide job. So I want teacher who knowledgeable enough to help me understand how to explain Japanese culture in English. So I try to pick up the teacher who can speak English, but who can also have some knowledge in Japanese. So I check English, and then who can speak Japanese. Yeah. I don't know, but online language is not yet that popular in Japan. Yes. And I don't know, if the company pay the money for the language school, maybe the company wants to pay money for the language school whose teacher is wearing suits, like more formal, so that they feel like, okay, by paying money, my employee is improving their language skill or something like that. Because like I said, if teachers show up wearing t-shirt, they don't want to pay money. I don't know. And also, technology, Japan is, many people have an image that Japan have a lots of advanced technology country, but actually it's not necessary it is, but because you realize when you land in Japan, there's not enough Wi-Fi, not Wi-Fi everywhere. Yeah. So it's like lots of gap. I used to live in Canada, and in Canada I feel like even elderly people, they're more capable for using technology. So the gap is a little bit smaller, but in Japan it's more bigger. And I don't know, like technology related to English language so that it's easier for them to adapt. And if you translate in Japanese, sometimes the word is a little bit complicated, or everyone don't have internet connection, or sorry, I don't know exactly, but yeah, sorry, I'm not sure. definitely better because of the many reasons. One is reasonable price, because if you go to the old-fashioned one, you pay the entrance fee, and you have to buy 4 lessons at a time or 1 year lesson at a time, even you don't know it's a good or not. But online lesson, you can start from buying 1 lesson, so reasonable, and also you can choose from many teachers. And also, you don't need to worry about the weather at all. Even it's raining or storming or anything, you can do lessons. And even I have a cold 2 weeks ago, and I was coughing a little bit, but still I can have a lesson because I was just putting, some towel and I was doing lesson. But if I do lesson on one face-to-face, I don't want to do that because I don't want to give my code to my student. But online, it's okay. Yeah, as long as I can speak. So yeah, many reasons. It's very easy and reasonable and yeah, so good. And you can choose good teachers, and there's no reason why you don't do that, I think. As a teacher, I try to speak a little bit slowly, clearly, and also if I have some dialect, so I try to speak standard one. Because many of my students want to learn standard first, and then you can learn any dialect you want. But yeah, because if I teach like "mokatte makka, bochi bochi denna," no one will understand. So yes. Now we have a TV or internet, but only 100 years ago we don't have connection much. So we have mountain. It means each village or each town is separated. So we have our dialect is totally different. And I myself, I speak my hometown Kumamoto dialect, and now I live in Kyoto, so I can speak kind of Kyoto dialect, and also I can speak normal standard Japanese. Yeah. And also, of course, like Okinawa have almost like a different language, and Ainu have different one. And what I really like about italki is you're trying to save the dying language, which is, I think, it's really amazing. Because if I want to learn Okinawan, or if I want to learn Ainu language, which I don't know, maybe only a few people now can speak, if I want to learn, and there is a platform that I can meet teachers, so I think it's really nice. The great thing about one-on-one lesson is you have time to understand what kind of people he is or she is. So yeah, I try to understand, and I ask what's your interest or hobby or everything, and try to every lesson, when I begin my lesson, I said like, 何か新しいことありましたか? What's new? Like what's new from the previous lesson? And at first they're answering me in English, but gradually they start adding some Japanese, like 昨日美術館に行って楽しかったです or something like this, and it's getting longer. So when I ask that kind of question, the second question I ask is about their hobbies or their interests. Like if the student interested in anime, I try to ask, I don't know anything about anime, but I try to say, どんなアニメが好きですか? とか, or something related to their interest. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Thanks so much. ありがとうございます。Yes, if you want to take my Japanese lesson, please.